Now is you should be able to see the LocalHop admin screen. So when you first log into LocalHop, you will be presented with your profile. This is obviously just a little background. So you have your organization name, description, some contact information. You can have a logo, a little banner, and your address. So pretty simple. You can obviously edit this stuff at any time. And then here's where you can also add users. So you can add an infinite number of users, and you can also control their roles. So a super admin obviously has full rights over everything. And then depending on the features of LocalHop that you use, you can set up different roles per feature. So you could have someone who is in charge of events and registration, but doesn't touch rooms or anything like that. And then you can also create custom forms. So I'll show you one that I created earlier, a demo form. With our custom forms, you can add a text field, which would be a one-line response, a text area, which obviously would be a multiple-line response, a drop-down, which would be where you provide a list that the patrons could select an option from, and then a checkbox. Now, your checkbox is more of like if you have a waiver or terms of use, something like that, that your patrons need to agree to. They could obviously check a box saying that they agree to terms of service or something like that. So with each of these, you can make them required. Field label is just obviously the question or the name that you want to give it. So I created this one earlier. What is your favorite color? A text field. And I'll use this when I show you how to create an event. So then moving on, notifications, just email, or we're going to be changing this so you can have multiple email addresses. But this is where notifications will be sent anytime a patron signs up for an event. So someone or multiple people could be notified that people are signing up, registering for an event. Age groups. So age groups, LocalHop provides 5 default age groups, and those are infant/toddler, youth, teen, adult, and senior. You can add your own and provide colors to color code by age group. And then you can also make certain ones inactive if you did not want to use the default age groups that LocalHop provides. Additional venues is just, I would suggest using venues that maybe you have events at fairly frequently. Here's anything you put in your additional venues list will be provided in a little drop down when you create an event, so you can just select where it is rather than having to type in that address over and over again. That's your basic setup, and then we can go into events. So you can view your events that you have upcoming right from this event's calendar. You can also view it in an events list, and you can even search for dates in the past. If you wanted to look up an old event, you could do that. Or if you wanted, you could just simply create an event. But I'm going to show you how to do this from here. So this is an event. I just named it LocalHop Demo. So you can add your event name, event type, which is relevant if you are doing different calendar snippets. So I'll explain that more when we get there, but just keep that in mind. A little event description and an event URL. So you can, if you have maybe a certain page on your website that has more information, or maybe an external website that you want to drive your patrons to, you can do that here. With every event, this will automatically generate a link for you, which you can click on to view it as your patrons would view it, just to kind of get a quick glance, make sure everything's looking good. You can also copy and paste the link if you wanted to share it, or you can share to social media right from here. And then only show on my calendar configuration. So LocalHop has two different types of calendars. We have what is called a My Calendar and what is a community calendar. So a community calendar can pull events from other organizations that are using the LocalHop platform. So you could have, maybe you have the schools or rec center in your community that wants to post their events all on a shared calendar. All they would need to do is to sign up for a free LocalHop account and just post their events. So they can control all of their events, and if you add them to your community calendar, they'll automatically be pulled and populate the calendar that would live on your website. So if you had an event that you wanted on your calendar but not kind of shown to everyone in the community, then you could check this to only show on my calendar. And then event categories. So this is just if people are searching for certain things, you can add, obviously categories that are relevant. And same with age groups. And then here's where you can upload an image if you have, if you do have an image for the event. We do have a recommended size, but pretty much anything close to that will look good. And then here is the drop down. So if you did have multiple saved additional venues, you could just select here. And you can always type in a specific address if you needed. So then you just save that event information, and then you can add a date and time. So I just added one event instance for this, but you can create repeated events, and just if you needed to do that. And then you can set up ticketing. So if you do require registration for events, we can do free or paid registration. So with that, we also do have an option for an external ticketing link. So if you were using maybe a different website, or you had something built into your own website for people to register, you could insert that link here. So if you are using LocalHop ticketing, you can choose a button label, which they all do the same thing, but it's just kind of whatever pertains to the event that you're hosting. You can have it say register, buy tickets, or sign up. So we'll leave it as register for right now. Here's where you can add that custom form. So I'm including the demo form that I just showed you. So when we register a patron, it should ask us, what is your favorite color? And then your total event capacity. And then you can allow a wait list. So how the wait list works is when registration becomes full, or the guest list becomes full, your patrons will have the option to register themselves to the wait list. And what happens is the system does a check every 5 minutes automatically. So if there does become an opening on the guest list, the next available party on the wait list will automatically be moved up. And they will get an email saying that they have been moved from the wait list to the guest list, and just kind of letting them know that they should, in fact, come to the event. So once you configure all that, then you can add ticket types. You can add multiple different ticket types. So if you wanted to have like an adult ticket, a youth ticket, if you wanted to have, an early bird ticket, or late registrant ticket, whatever it is. And these can all, as I said, be free or paid. So I've created this one and just show you what that looks like. So you'll go ahead and add a ticket name, a price if one applies, a ticket quantity, and then ticket overflow. So overflow is basically saying, so I've set my ticket quantity at 10 and my overflow at 2. So if I add them together, I have 12. And so basically what this is saying is that there are 12 tickets available, but we're only advertising 10. So that means if 9 out of our 10 tickets are sold, then I have a group of 2 or 3 that wants to sign up. They would be able to do so. But once say 10 out of 10 tickets are sold, there's no more tickets available. If 11 out of these 12 are sold, no more tickets are available. From there, people will be moved to the wait list. And then ticket description, and then your registration start and end time. So this will automatically fill to become available at the time that you are creating it and become unavailable at the time that the event starts. So you can change this if needed, but that's what it will default to. And then within the event, you can view the guest list. So we have no one that has registered for this, but as an admin, you can go ahead and add guests as well. So if you have someone that comes into your library, comes up to the front desk, they're like, hey, I want to sign up for this event, or someone calls up over the phone, how do I register for this? You can help them out with that just by hitting add guest. Let's have one person. First and last name, I'll just use my own. And then here's that form question. So again, if there was multiple questions, they would all be listed here. If it's required, it will have the little asterisk there. So put in our favorite color. We continue, and then contact information. So this is different from guest information because you could be having parents sign up their children, or one person signing up an entire family or group of friends. Might be because of the way I set it up, but so that's basically that. You understand the walkthrough. Let's cancel that, and then you will see your people on the guest list. All right, and then also in the event calendar, you can kind of see here anything with this LocalHop pin logo. That means that there's an event that has registration tied to it. So you can just see, I mouse over how many people have registered versus how many spots are still available. If there is an event without it, that means that there was no registration required. One other thing I do want to mention is here, if I click on this Sing and Share event, I'll scroll down, and this has multiple event instances. So if I were to add date and time all here, then the guest list for this event would be the same for each one of these instances. So that would be more like a class. So if you were doing like a Sing and Share or, toddler story time that does recur, every Wednesday at the same time, but each Wednesday you're expecting a different group of people to show up, that's where in your events list, you can either duplicate the event or even just within the event itself, you can duplicate it. And then that way that will copy over all of the event details, but you can create a different time and date of the event and set up different ticketing and registration. So that would create a new guest list. hope that makes sense. If we need to go through that further, I can do that. So that's pretty much event setup. I'm going to go into room management right now and kind of go through there before coming back to the calendar snippet. So with your rooms, you can basically set up as many rooms as you have. I'm going to show you kind of what this looks like. So create your room name, room type if you have, different setups for it, a room description. You can apply a fee to use the room. If you have one, you can make that fee per hour or per session. And then here's where you can configure on a room by room basis if it is available to the public or not. So if yes, then that means that you are allowing your patrons to go online and reserve the room. So if you are allowing them to, you can also require approval for that process. And then just some other features like if they can reserve it after hours, if there's a deposit required, and if there's a simplified intake, which is just basically if it's like a study room or something that someone can come in real quick, just reserve it, go use it, leave without, leaving a whole bunch of other information. Maybe you just need like their name and a contact phone number or email address. You can also set up time increments here for each room. So if you want to, if you do restrict the number of hours or days that a person can create a reservation. So can they create a room? It has to be created within, 2 hours. So you can obviously edit all of that here. If they can edit a room or if they can cancel at any time, maybe, they can't cancel 2 days before their reservation, whatever it might be. Save that and then come on down to room availability. So here's you can set up availability per day. So what we have set up here is Monday through Saturday for this specific room. Pretty much our available hours are just the times that we open until we close. But you can also set up, so like Saturday, if our hours are 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., but at 2 o'clock, that's when we shut down the room, and that's when the janitorial staff comes in and cleans everything. So the room is unavailable to be reserved from 2 to 3 o'clock. So you basically just set that, and then you don't have to worry about anyone trying to reserve it when it's time to be cleaned. And then room layout, so you can add multiple different layouts with different capacities depending on, the number of chairs, the size of the room, everything like that. So, and I'll show you what that looks like. You can also this was not like this earlier, but you can add a custom layout where you can upload your own image of the room so that people can kind of see what it looks like. And then your room equipment. So this is anything that is attached to the room. So projector that's mounted to the ceiling, a whiteboard mounted to the wall, maybe there's a TV in there or a podium, stuff like that. But you can also include portable equipment. So I'll move into that. So portable equipment is basically anything you have that can go from room to room and be used by people that are using those rooms. So whiteboard on wheels, a fan, if you have maybe a coffee maker or laptops, extra chairs, stuff like that, you can go ahead and add a fee to use the room or make it free. But this way, people can reserve the equipment, and then when they come in to pick their room, then you'll know what other equipment they need. And if you have multiple of the same thing, you can add that as well. So if you have, like 2 coffee makers and someone's reserving the room at 1, and then someone comes in for another room at 1:30, they can each have a coffee maker. If you only have 1 and someone already booked it, then the next person won't even have the option to try to reserve that. Next is unavailable dates. So yesterday we were completely closed because we were celebrating Cinco de Mayo, and that just means that the entire, all rooms within our library are unavailable, so no one can reserve rooms. And then terms of use, if you have a room policy, this is where you can upload it. And if you do have one uploaded, then if you have a public-facing room reservation, your patrons will be prompted to accept those terms before they can reserve the space. And then room reservation settings. So I'll walk through each of these with you. The maximum number of active reservations, that is just if you want to limit your patrons on basically how many reservations they can have at a time. If there's a certain number of periods that they can have active reservations, so if it's, one reservation per day, that's all they can make. You can set those limits here. And then your reminder times, this is for your admin staff. If you do have an approval process for public facing room reservation, you can have a reminder sent basically 1 day after a reservation is created, and then second reminder 8 hours. So that way, if no one has been looking or approving these reservations, people are being reminded about them, that they exist and that they need attention. And then facility emails frequency, this is something that's sent out. So here it's set for 2 days. So that means every 2 days, the facilities team pertains to will be sent an email of all the reservations that are upcoming within the next 2 days. So you can set it for 1 day, 8 hours, whatever it is. So that way they know kind of what's on deck for setup, cleanup, whatever that might be. All right, and then your room reservation. So we'll take a look at the calendar. This is kind of your quick glance view. So if you scroll down, we only have 4 rooms set up here. If you had more, then you can kind of click and choose which ones you want to see. 4 is pretty clean still. If you do have more, there's these arrows where you can kind of scroll through everything so it doesn't get too narrow. But here's what we have upcoming for today. You see 3 different colors. The kind of blue teal color means that this room has been approved and there is no money owed for it. Red means that it has also been approved, but there is some sort of fee owed still. And then gray means that it has not yet been approved. So here I can click on this one and I can either approve it, deny it, or just completely cancel it. If I choose to deny, I can give a little denial reason, and that will be part of an email that is sent to the user. So on that note, I do want to say that LocalHop sends out a few emails. So one for events, when someone registers for an event, they will receive an email right away confirming their registration. and then they will receive an email 24 hours before the event as an event reminder. And then for room reservation, if there's no approval needed, they will just receive an email saying that they've gotten a successful room reservation with the details and everything. If there is an approval, they'll receive a confirmation that their request has been submitted, and then they'll receive another email once it has been approved or denied. And then another way to view, you can also see a month view if you just want to kind of see what's upcoming. You can see how if you have more reservations, it can become quite a lengthy month, but just for a quick view. And then your reservation list. So here you can sort by pending status, denied, approved, or canceled. So whatever the status of the reservation is, you can easily find it. And then you can also edit reservations from here as well. So if someone, maybe even if they already had an approved reservation, but say I made this reservation from 9 to 10 and I wanted to change it from 9 to 11, I could call up the library and I could do that, or the admin could do that here. So that is pretty much the setup. Let me show you what it looks like as a user. So this is on the LocalHop website. This is kind of your profile that you set up, the first thing we went over. So your organization name, your library name here, your description. So here's your logo, a banner image if you have one, and then your contact information, your location, and then reserve a space. So this is what it looks like for your patrons. If I want to, say, reserve a room for today at, let's say, 2 o'clock, I can search for what is available. I can also change the time that I want. Say 3 o'clock, search for that. I find it here. I can reserve the space, decide which layout. So if you had multiple layouts, you can change that, or decide which one you wanted. Let's say we have 19 people coming. And then here's the optional portable equipment. So again, like I said, if there was another reservation at this time that had already used the whiteboard, this option would not be available to me. But let's go ahead and select it. We will have your patrons, they'll be able to they'll be able to log in to LocalHop themselves. So they'll have what we're calling a user account, which will pre-fill all of their contact information, and they would also be able to save a credit card if they wanted to. That's not required, but this will automatically all pre-fill. And then the reason that we are doing this is so that they can go in and kind of see what events and tickets they have purchased or registered for. They can also see all of the reservations that they have upcoming and edit them if needed. And then here's where they can agree to your terms of use. And then the LocalHop terms of use, just because we will be saving their phone number and email address, and we can send you those terms if you guys want to see them. Then we hit reserve. Oops, I think I clicked on the wrong room. But here, so if you do have these kind of parameters in place, these guests will not be able to reserve the room. So let me see which room did I select? I think it was the conference room. We come back into our admin view. I'm just going to do this real quick. So here's our conference room. We did have parameters that has to be created 1 day in advance. Let's see if we can save this and try this again. Oops, might need to refresh. Sorry guys, I thought I clicked on the right room. So I can go through that again just so you can see the messaging. I think I had it at 2 o'clock. Good to know our parameters are working. Okay, so here it is. The room request has been submitted. So now I will receive an email with all that same information that my request has been submitted and all of the details that I just filled out. And then the admin, anyone who has a permissions to approve rooms will receive an email saying that that a request has been submitted. You also see notifications up here as well. So then if I go to the reservation calendar, I should see that reservation that we just created at 2 o'clock. I can go on here and I can approve. And now it has not been paid. So what your users will then be able to do is go into their dashboard and see their upcoming reservations. So here's the one, the conference room at 2 o'clock that we just created. They can either edit it or take a look at everything. They'll see that they've been approved and they can submit payment online, the credit card, or they can call you up or come into the library and your admins will be able to collect payment on site. So you can either collect credit card information to be processed or cash or check, which obviously we would not keep track of within LocalHop. We would just note that payment has been collected. So if you submitted that, you can then see it's changed over to the blue teal color, meaning that there's no money owed. So hope I didn't confuse you guys too much there. This we think is pretty simple to use. If there's any questions, hopefully Bob's answering them. But let me show you guys our calendar snippets now, and then I'll come back to more questions. So calendar snippets, you can obviously add, again, on my calendar and community calendar. So I'll show you with the community calendar, if you were to add that, you can also add any organizations that are in your communities that are using LocalHop. You can just add them here. And then if you didn't want to use colors, you could hide color coding here. And then if you wanted to, remember I showed you the event type, you could include or exclude any of those types. So, so you could have an event calendar for specifically events or classes or camps or all of the above. So I'm just going to leave those all. And then my calendar is, you can kind of go through the same options, your event type, hiding colors. We also have a calendar, which is just your regular month view calendar, a mini calendar, which is just pretty self-explanatory, but it's just a smaller version of the month view. I'll show you what that looks like. And then the mini list, which you can either put in a panel, which is more of a horizontal view, our list view, which is obviously a vertical list. So, and then for each of these, we just provide you a code snippet. And so what you do is just copy all of this code onto your website, and then wherever you want to put it, it will automatically populate as you add events to your LocalHop account. So I'll show you what some of these look like. So this is the Baldwin Public Library in Birmingham, Michigan. They're one of our early adopters. So on their homepage here, this is the mini calendar. So as you can see, any kind of day with the little blue triangle is a day where there is at least one event taking place. You can see days in the past that are kind of grayed out. And then beside it here is kind of a little list. You can scroll through. You can click on it to get a little drop down. And if you want more information, you can click on it and get a little overlay with all of that info there. And then let me show you what their calendar looks like. They've also edited their calendars to fit their color scheme, so it looks pretty native to their website. Yeah, and they are using the LocalHop color coding. So, and it's the same thing on the month view here, where you can see the days in the past are kind of grayed out versus today and future days that are more bold. And then you can also see any event that does require registration still has that little LocalHop pin logo, just as a quick indicator. And then as you mouse over, you get a little description. You can also click on that to view more details. The cool thing about our calendar versus some of the competitors in the industry, all of this is completely on their website. You have not left the library website this entire time. Until you want to register for an event, that is the only time that you will be prompted to the LocalHop website. Everything else completely stays on your library website. That's the cool thing with the code snippet. Yeah, you can also, everyone can add the events to their personal calendar. They can share the events on social media. Pretty good stuff. And then I'm going to show you Bad Axe. So this is a small and rural library. They're also located here in Michigan, but they have been using our community calendar. Just want to show you guys kind of what it can look like. So it's pretty populated. These guys have worked with their community. They've actually had some staff members go out into the community and recruit people to sign up with LocalHop just to populate this calendar. So you can see all these different organizations, and if you're familiar with Bad Axe, they're a very, very small town. So this really worked well for them. And also they've let us know that they've received actually a few new patrons just because of this. People have been looking up things to do, and obviously their events are on the calendar as well. So it's brought a few more people into their library, as well as more traffic to their website, if anything. So that's cool. And then one other thing, the mini list. So this is the panel view of the mini list. As you can see, anything. Oh, here's our event. If you did not have an image to upload, this image here on the right is the default image that LocalHop provides. So if you do have this view, you don't have to worry about it being just a blank box. just kind of a little abstract-y image, if that's a word. I think I just made it up. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything. I'm gonna check back, see if you guys have any questions in the chat here, or if Bob's been answering them, if you guys do have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask them. I'll give you guys a minute. So, Tara, the library card number, I did actually forget to go over this. So we can validate, we do have Polaris already built into LocalHop, but we can include other ILS systems or anything else like that you guys are using. The only thing that we need to do is work directly with your library to go through testing and make sure all of those requirements are met for what you need. So the minimum number of users, yeah. If I'm missing anyone else. Yeah. Rachel, thanks for answering those questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. Anyone else have anything else? Any other questions? We enter a repeating event. Only part how is that differentiated in the attendee reporting? So Cinnamon asked a good question. So a repeating event, again, it's going to have the same guest list. So if you, how is that differentiated in attendee reporting? We're building out the reports right now. So I don't have a definite answer, but what I believe we have been talking about is that it won't be double counted. So if it's the same guest list for 5 events and there's 10 people on those, it's not going to count 50 people. It's going to count 10 people for 5 events. But I'm going to write that one down and I'm going to double check because, like I said, the report it's in beta. We have developer working on it as we speak. So I'll double check that and we'll confirm in a follow-up email. Good question. Anyone else? Another thing I'll add too, if you guys do think of questions later on, we are totally have open communication. So we'll include my email, Robert's email, and cell phone numbers because we're all working from home right now. You guys might be opening up sooner than we are here in Michigan, but yeah, if there's questions, we're going to get you guys all set up on the demo site so you guys can go on and play around with the software. And then, yeah, feel free to reach out at any time. If there's no other questions, Bob, do you think I did everything? Do you have anything to add?
No, I do not actually.
I must have been pretty thorough. Cool. Well, I will stop sharing my screen. We're ending a little bit early, so thank you guys all for joining us. Hope you guys can enjoy your day. Hope you're all staying safe, healthy, and again, feel free to reach out at any time. And also, you feel free to visit our website. We have our full, pricing, everything on there. We're pretty transparent, so getlocalhop.com. I'll put it in the chat. So if you guys have any questions,